Welcome to Tony Talk. Welcome to Tony Talk. Welcome to Tony Talk. What up, y'all? This is Attorney Antonio Moore coming to you from Tone Talks, ready to have a discussion today about something that's happening in the media. It started back in 2020 when Kamala was the VP. It has ramped up in these last few months as we've gotten towards the last few weeks of painting black men as misogynists, and that being the reason that they're not supporting Kamala. What's actually happening is that they're misrepresenting the numbers, and they're doing it by omitting the realities of how white females vote and also how black women have not supported Kamala. There was a whole mass movement of black women saying, I'm not voting for Kamala, little clips. I might cut a few in here. What I think is being done to black men is one of the worst attacks in the last few years on a particular sub-ethnic group that doesn't defend itself well that I've seen in politics. I'm going to show you some of the ways that they're omitting numbers and not wanting to deal with the major stories and instead using black men as a scapegoat in case Kamala really doesn't do well on Tuesday. Everybody's in here. I want to have the discussion. Please support the channel. Don't get me wrong. There's some odd black men standing out with signs and red shirts, but that doesn't represent like you doing news stories. What we need to get honest about is what the numbers tell us. And what the numbers tell us support these signs. Women for Trump, these white women screaming for Trump, because white women vote by family. They don't vote by gender. How about it? But you got these stories, and I'm going to dig into this one by the Atlantic that came out either yesterday or today, which just omitted numbers and never really told you the source isn't really a great source. It's not ABC News, not Washington Post. Their data comes from some small offshoot research group. But they omitted numbers to make Kamala seem like it's not her politics. It's not the fact that ADOS black folks in general are voting along ADOS lines more than ever before, meaning being an American citizen of slavery, not being black. Know what that means no more. It's the fact that you need to paint somebody as the villain, and the perfect villain is a black man because a black man don't stand up for himself. We don't have black folks standing up and saying, I need all the numbers, not just the numbers on black men. So let me give you all the numbers. We're going to come back. For us to have the discussion around being a misogynist, we got to look all the way back to 2016 because that's the first time a woman ran. And we got to look at the numbers that black men came out then, not just in 2024. And if you failed to do that, you are failing to actually undergird your argument and basically lying. Obama did it, number of media sites. What am I saying? So this here is a reputable source. If you look at the bottom, it's CNN. This is their exit poll. In their exit poll, black men supported Hillary Clinton at what? 82%. What did white women support Hillary Clinton at? 43%. So nearly double the rate. Nearly double the rate. No one is calling white women the misogynist that they might be wanting to ask them if they are because they voting against women. Let me say that again in a simpler way. Why aren't we asking if white women are misogynistic? Why aren't we asking if black men voted double the rate for Hillary Clinton than white women? Why are we trying to paint them as not wanting a woman to be president? They voted. The only other subgroup that voted higher than them for Hillary Clinton was black women. So no other group is being asked if they're misogynistic. Not white women, not white men, not Latino men, not Latino women. Black men were, what, 14 points higher for Hillary Clinton than Latino women. But nobody's asking if they're misogynistic. There's a real problem here because nobody wants to be honest that they're lying on black men, including Obama. We're going to talk about it today because we're not your scapegoat. We have a low education rate, don't have a lot of college degrees, but I'm here for y'all. I'm going to make it clear today. Charlemagne can't do this with his little dropouts. Come on, let's talk about it. He's too busy stepping. So let me go back and tell you one thing that happened back in 2016. Don Lemon's producer called me to go on the show. I told them that I'm going to talk about Clinton and Trump. When I said I'm going to talk about Clinton too, that you can't be on the show. They are handpicking black males that will say exactly what they need them to say to either be a super villain or to support Kamala. They're not looking for people who actually represent the general body voice of black politics. They said I can't. They didn't call me back once I said I'm gonna talk about Hillary and Trump. I didn't ever tell y'all that. Talked to her on the phone. Told her exactly what I was gonna say. No call back. Oh, okay. You need a specific message about Trump. But let's get right back to what I'm trying to paint today. I'm painting a lie is being told. I'm painting around that lie so you can see it. That lie is that black men are misogynistic. If we voted for Clinton at twice the rate of white women and 14 points higher than Latino women, how are we misogynistic and they're not? Nobody's asking them. How are we misogynistic if we already said that we're willing to have a woman as president? These are non-stories. And in fact, they're not even in these stories. They're not even talking about how black men voted during Clinton. Oh, we got media, EA. I'm the media. You guys just don't share it enough. You out there looking at CNN and MSNBC and you not asking the question. How many of y'all after this show, once I give you all the information you need, will go back to the Atlantic and go back to this man's editor and say, this man lied by omission? This man misrepresented the truths on how black men have voted against other groups by omission. You got to go do that work. I'll show you. I got some of the article. How about it? Ain't nothing misogynistic about what's going on. Black folks ain't connecting with somebody that isn't ADOS, anchored in being Indian, that's elitist, that don't understand politics, that don't got no long political history, that can't even get up and give a speech. How about it? That said that she ain't doing nothing specific for black folks to the griot, black media. And so as we start to deal with some of these polls, we're seeing some polls supporting Kamala, but many polls supporting that Trump is about to slaughter her. I don't know what to believe. I believe if I had to call it, I see no energy around Kamala here in California. I can talk to old black women. I can talk to young black women. It isn't even a split. There's no energy around Kamala. That is an absolute failure of a black female politician that's running for president. And it's on her and her staff and the DNC for choosing her. So in this poll, I saw that Trump was up 5 in Arizona, 4 in North Carolina, Nevada +4, Georgia +2. That's the Atlas Intel. Now that's a Republican saying that. Then you got another poll that they said was CNN that she's 6 points higher in Wisconsin and 5 in Michigan. You believe she's 5 points higher in Michigan if you want. With what's going on in the Middle East and how the Palestinians and the Muslim community down there is not supporting Kamala, we will see on Tuesday. You believe that she's +1 in North Carolina if you like. I don't believe it. Now, that's not because I support Trump. That's because I don't believe that Kamala is a great politician, and I don't believe she ever should have been running for president. We didn't choose her as Democrats. Can we talk today? Please support the channel. You can support here if you want to support on tonetalks.net. 310-388-3499. I want to hear from you on this discussion. We're not going to be here too long. So it's come closer, but they had Trump winning by extreme amounts. Now it's at 59-41. Who will win the presidential election according to Kalshi? So while they saying that, CNN is trying to tell us this. We're going to see on Tuesday. We're going to see on Tuesday. No way she wins Georgia either, in my mind, Hattie Campbell. But they saying it. They said Trump is only +1 in Georgia. Okay. Tell it to them. So while they're calling black men misogynists, they're not asking the question how white women that voted for Trump at obscenely high rates, according to CNN's own exit polls, aren't misogynists. 52% of white women voted for Trump, according to CNN, over Clinton. 82% of black men, despite the super predator comment, voted for Clinton, and nobody wants to talk about that, being that you don't get to have the misogynist argument no more. Not with black men. You can do it for Latino men, if you like, and specifically for white men who voted for Clinton at 31%. But instead of targeting white men because they own all the wealth, own all the land, have all the resources, you're going to target the most oppressed group in America, which is black men, because we're over-incarcerated, we're underemployed, we're the direct competitor of white men. Don't nobody want to talk about these shirts. So they'll go all through this crowd and find one black dude with a red shirt that don't represent none of us and take a picture of him. But they're going to skip all them. Hundreds, thousands of these white women massively supporting their families, their neighborhoods, their communities, and Trump and how he encompasses all of that. Can we talk today? Give me your opinion. 310-388-3499 if you want to call. Please stop saying black men have a problem voting for a woman for president when they voted for Hillary Clinton at a rate that was nearly twice that of white women. That's the core of this show, to make it simple and clean. Black men voted for Clinton at 80% rate. You can see it right here, 80. White women were at 43. CNN's exit poll. While white women voted for her at 43%. I got other studies I'm going to show, just other surveys, exit polls, just to make sure you see it's not just CNN that said it. Everybody said it. White women voted along misogynistic lines in line with their husbands. Black women are down, let's talk about it, obscene amounts when it comes to supporting Kamala, and nobody wants to talk about it. According to the Pew, black women are down. If you look at it, they were 93% support for Clinton. I'll show you in a second. That's the Clinton line, just to make sure you know Clinton. And they added some more points because they added more information. So they're at 94% actually in the final. And black women now are at 79% for Kamala. So you have black women down 14 points. That is the story that should be in media. Why are black women down 14 points for this awful candidate that Kamala Harris is? How many of y'all talk to your mama and she ain't feeling this Indian woman? How many of y'all talk to your grandmama? She dead silent because she don't like Trump, which she has every right not to like that old crazy man. But she's silent about how she don't like Kamala because she's not ADOS. We did that. She's not American, descendant of slavery, and she oozes it in her politics. Can I talk about it? Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, my name is Rashid. I'm calling from Maryland.
Give me your take on it.
I think that, because the Electoral College, Maryland definitely going to go to her.
Okay.
I definitely think that, a lot of voters are, they don't like Kamala Harris. But I also think that a lot of the majority of people, like the older people who go out and vote, they already got theirs. So, they kind of think that it's like, oh, well, the TV tells me don't vote Trump, and they just going to still vote Kamala Harris. Like I visited my spouse's grandfather in Pennsylvania, and he said he already voted for Harris. And I asked him, why?
What are the policies?
I'm asking him, what is she going to do for you? And he was like, well, Trump ain't going to do this, and he just went through this whole thing, just like Kamala does every time we talk to her.
And let me say this. Let me say this to you. There's two logic lines that are reasonable, and you have to respect. I'm not saying you have to agree. The first is when you hear somebody saying they're voting for Trump because of the amount of support that the Dems are giving to things like transgender rights, and you're highly religious. You got to respect that. I'm not saying you got to agree with it. The other side is he has the right to believe that because Trump about to cut your programs. Oh, he's small government. You can just want to vote against Trump. The problem, though, is that when you don't realize there's other options and that you could be a dynamic voter, and then you haven't done anything else politically, and you think that means you said something by voting for Kamala. The problem is that you don't realize you can go down ballot blue and make the same statement. The problem is on the other side, when you go red all the way down your ballot, and your baby mama that you barely pay the child support for gets the programs cut that your kid needed or your grandma needed or your mama needed, and you out here with a sign up. Come on, give me your take.
Well, the problem with the Democrats is that they're not
all Democrats. All Democrats. You gonna say all the Democrats? You gonna say that? You gonna say that all the Democrats in the world, or is it just all the Democrats in the world? You're saying that?
So FEMA just dropped the ball on all those people that got hit by those tornadoes.
Yeah, but how's that could have happened under Republicans too? That like there's like that happened. I just don't. It has. But it has though.
It could have.
You just making it. Yeah, but that's wrong though. I'm not arguing just for the sake of it. That's not a Democrat-Republican issue alone. I need to get to a Democrat-Republican issue that you're telling me that Republicans never dropped the ball with FEMA. That's what you're saying. You didn't see George Bush over Katrina.
So give me a second to land my plane. I didn't say that Republicans don't do X, Y, and Z. I'm not voting Republican. I vote third party.
Okay.
It's the fact that when people say things that they are trying to justify, when people say things that they're like, oh, they're fear-mongering. They're fear-mongering what the Republicans are going to do. They have to understand that a lot of their worst fears already came true under the Democrats. The Democrats are the ones that pushed through NAFTA and removed jobs, a lot of factory jobs. The Democrats are the ones that pushed your jobs into being jobs.
But hold on. You also got to look at what happened after Reagan. Reagan got into office in 80. He killed Mondale. After he killed Mondale, Bush got in 88. The Democrats were pulled right, trying to compete with a new Republican agenda that white folks wanted. You can't just say it that way. That's not the history. That's just half of it. You know, like that's why Clinton was in Stone Mountain. He was trying to out Republican George Bush Sr. That's why he was in front.
That is a problem. That's a problem.
Yeah, and so you got to pull the party left. You got to pull the party left.
No. But wait a second. The party is supposed to take their direction from the voters, and the voters demanded free health care in the 90s when Nancy Pelosi went to go run for office, and they put her in office for free health care. And that was a thing that the Democrats were running on. The Democrats decided to.
What were the Republicans doing at the same time, though? I guess you're a third party person.
They were saying to you. So what the Republicans were doing in the 90s was saying that we're going to be tough on crime. The Democrats decided to out
Republican agreed.
And remove.
And what was black folks doing? Your mama and what was your grandmama doing? She was going with the Democrats.
My grandmother.
A lot of us.
The Democrats, because the Democrats said that they were going to help reduce the crime that's happening and inject more money for schools.
Okay, what did she do when they didn't do it?
The Democrats didn't do that.
What did she do when they didn't do it? No, what did she do when they didn't do it?
What did she do when they didn't do it was that she didn't vote for those Democrats so they could.
That's not enough. That's not enough, caller. I'm saying to you, we didn't have ADOS. We didn't.
Left and right. I feel you, but I'm just saying.
And I'm saying to you, we're getting to a point where it's an on-off switch. And what's happening is they've made Trump, and I'm going to let you land your plane here. Thank you so much. I mean, I think it's a spirited debate. We've made Trump into a third party because he came through hip-hop. A lot of y'all grandparents didn't do enough politics, and your life will suffer as a result. They didn't leave you no inheritance, and they didn't leave you no black politics, and they didn't even leave you an identity. That's why we got to do ADOS. Me and Yvette got to donate time. I'm saying to you today that you cannot just stand here and say the Democrats, because now let's talk liberal. Where are your liberal politics going to land? Because you need all the services. I don't understand what people are saying. I respect this man for actually calling in, giving his opinion, and I respect him for voting third party. Don't let nobody tell you that you can't vote third party when it's on the ballot. But in addition, what did you do in between? Did you join the ADOS Foundation? Were you educating people on the importance of ADOS people representing us, not just flat black? Were you dealing with down ballot politics, agenda items? Were you dealing with the realities of your community? A lot of y'all parents, grandparents, and yourself weren't. I'm doing nothing, man. And now y'all just talking about Kamala's the answer. She ain't the answer. All I know is today, I don't want to hear nothing about black men are misogynistic. Me and this man had a respectful conversation. We didn't get into no reason for not voting for Kamala because she's a woman. Y'all need to take that to white women. Y'all need to start writing think pieces and start hitting white women on their head for being misogynist if you believe that that's part of the core reason that they vote so lowly for Kamala, and they did the same for when the numbers come out, and they did the same for Clinton. Can we talk? Some people are saying that the map might end up this way. You know, you got one person, you got CNN saying the map is gonna go this way. 278-41 Kamala. You got another poll that say the map gonna go strong to Trump. Atlas Intel. Now you can believe what you want, but I look at Nevada and Arizona, like CNN has. Let's talk about it. Let's look at it. They have Arizona going to Kamala. Ain't no way I believe that. They got North Carolina going to Kamala. So if you're looking at North Carolina and Arizona as a way to guide rail how they're actually setting up voting and looking at voting, then I don't know. I mean, I don't know how to trust CNN. I don't even believe they should poll next election. If it pars out where they're missing huge states like they did in 2016, like they did in 2020. I just want to talk about it, but again, Black women voted, according to CNN's final exit polls, they voted for Clinton at a 94% rate. The next group was Black men. In order to have this misogynist argument, you would have needed Black men to have voted for Clinton at like a 40, 50, 60% rate. They voted for Clinton at 82%, nearly double the rate of white women. Yet when we get the think pieces, all we're hearing is how Black men are drifting towards Trump. We're not talking about how white women are already with him. Ain't nobody gonna talk about that? We just gonna act like Black men are the problem and they're gonna be the villain, the Skeletor of this election if she lose? We're not gonna look at Latinos, they get a free ride. We're not gonna deal with others, they get a free ride too. We just gonna look at Black folks, and we're not gonna deal with how Black folks are holding up the Democratic Party. And then we as Black folks are, instead of demanding what we're owed for holding up the party, are gonna say, I'm gonna go third party, or I'm gonna go. We said last election that we was gonna go take the party, and then we can't get enough of y'all to galvanize. Y'all too damn lazy. Everybody willing to say exactly what CNN. I say it. I be the one to write the article. I say that Trump is bad. I won't say nothing about Kamala. That's all Charlemagne is. Come on, man. Imagine that white women voted for Trump at 52%, and white women voted for Clinton, Hillary Rodham Clinton at 43%. While Black men voted at 82%. And nobody is putting this in their stories. Look at this. This is the Pew Research exit poll. White men are at 32 points for just supporting. They had similar numbers for Clinton. White women are at 45 points for Clinton. Black men were at 81 in their poll for Clinton. Come on, man. Black women are at 98. Look at the Latinos, 65 and 67. The last group other than Black women that should be hearing about misogynism and voting is Black men, because we already had Clinton and it was recent. Any think piece that talks about that, you should attack, you should go get the data, and then you should demand that the editors fix their goddamn pieces. And that's just your own self-respect. Because I'm seeing people lying on Black men by omitting out information. I'm not going to keep you long. I'm just going to keep you real. 310-388-3499. If you want to call in, this is not going to be a long show. The purpose of this show is to hammer down on some of the information we're seeing about Black men and Black. Let's go back. I want to make sure I made this point clear, because the Pew put out their data, and from the data, the way they set it up, it appears that these are meant to be, this is a Black article that came out. So this is really for Black men and Black women. And this is basically age-wise, college degree-wise, and this is gender-wise. Well, if Black women in the Pew study was at 98, and then the CNN study was at 93, let's just use the 93, which it became 94 once they added a few more people. To swing from 94 to 79, if this is the Black women as they presented, That is a 15-point swing. So black women might, let's just say, anywhere from 10 to 15 points down with with Kamala Harris. Black women might be 10 to 15 points down with Kamala Harris, and not one story has been written. Black women made videos on the internet. It was all across Twitter saying, "I'm not supporting Kamala Harris." It was not really covered. There is an attempt to hide away the biggest story of a generation when it comes to voting. How did the the DNC fail the way they did in picking Kamala when it was so clear, according to even the New York Times, that she was the worst pick against Trump? But now, how is it that they're hiding a whole story about how black women are not supporting this woman because she's not an American descendant of slavery, and it don't make no sense to look at this as because black women. The first black president was not ADOS. There's like 100,000 Kenyans in America. No idea how that wasn't a major story when he started running. The first black vice president wasn't ADOS, Indian and Jamaican. Respects to Jamaican, but that's not ADOS. You had the first black press secretary, not ADOS, a Haitian. The first black attorney general, not ADOS, a Caribbean as well, Eric Holder. You don't have any understanding of how that can happen if we got all the people and the history, how that has to be very purposeful. I need you to see it because I don't even understand. I'm seeing a map that looks more like this, but we'll see how it all comes out. Again, that was the CNN numbers. White women at 43% for Clinton, black men at 82%. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
What's going on, Mr. Antonio? This is Christian from Fayetteville, North Carolina. How you doing, sir?
Hey, this is one of my young callers. Give me your take on it.
So yeah, we are definitely we are watching the show right now, and I think it's very interesting that I've had people who talk to me personally about the whole misogyny thing, which quite frankly doesn't make sense. My wife and I talked about this yesterday. I think also one of the things a lot of people are not really remembering too, and I wish that people really had been watching you, especially your show, because I remember you were talking about this before. Like years ago, you did a series on like talking about Black love and kind of like how politics is inferred and what that has to do with what our family structures look like. And a lot of people are not realizing the way us men are thinking about our women right now, the way that we think about protecting them is very different than the way a lot of other people have to do it. So, for example, just a real quick example, when it comes to like reproductive health, a lot of what gets talked about is like the abortion issue and those types of things. Whether you agree or not is inconsequential. My problem is the reproductive rights of my wife that were violated didn't have anything to do with whether or not she wanted to keep the baby, but the decisions she wanted around our baby. So we were getting threatened by having a CPS agent called and being in our home. We having to get interrogated and having to produce character witnesses and everything else. So my wife understands that she had, she'll have her friends or whoever might have some white women come up to her and say that, vote for the sister girl. But the fact of the matter is she knows that those people do not care about her at all. And that type of self-interest, we're getting totally into not even actually being allowed to fend for ourselves politically. And it's looking like, honestly, like the election, if Kamala loses, it's only hers to blame.
Well, what's gonna happen is things like, let me share this with you. While the numbers are what they are, and white women are the reason that any Republican will win, especially in this era of abortion rights and family like they would be the reason that and so we can see that in the numbers, and that's not even dealing with the raw numbers of how many more white women there are than black men. But nobody wants to call them misogynist, because how do you call a white woman a misogynist? Well, they live in a white family that's led often by a white husband, and they can be. But that's the think piece to write, because the numbers support it. You can look at it right here. But in addition, you got studies. I'm gonna share this with you. Articles that are relying on studies, not even telling you the source. So I'm gonna read this. Of course, black men are drifting toward Trump. Future historians will therefore marvel at the fact that Trump has increased his support among African Americans since he was elected to the presidency in 2016. Skipping down, it says in a recent poll. Hold on. If it ain't ABC News or Washington Post or New York Times, please put the name there. I don't want to hear in a recent poll. I want to hear. I had to click it to make sure y'all know Gen Forward in a Gen Forward poll. So then people will ask the question, "What's Gen Forward? What is this that you remember?" The Black Lives Matter girl did a whole study and she overleaned towards trans rights. I'm not saying they did that, but you remember that?
Yep.
And the data was all wrong
Yep.
because you were oversampling trans rights.
Yep.
Well, I'm saying I want to know. Don't say in a recent poll and know that 95% of your people won't click this. In a recent poll of black voters, 58% of black men said that they'd support Vice President Kamala Harris if the election were held today. That's the first paragraph. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't pay for the Atlantic to get the rest, but that's the first paragraph. That's the part above the fold that you get for free. That's the part everybody can read. Okay, so I said, let me go to this study. Well, I go to the study and it's called Gen Forward. I don't know who that is. I don't know how they doing this, but they doing some kind of weighted sample. Okay, so we didn't say in a recent study that uses weighted samples by Gen Forward. But in addition, I want y'all to see how they hustling us by omission. And this is what you should go back and write this editor, write the Atlantic Times, write this writer about, and demand that they fix their goddamn article above the fold. When you look at the numbers, black males are at 58, but black women are at 63. That means black people aren't voting for Kamala. Let me say it again. In his article, he's saying it as if black women are still at 90 because he's omitting them from the sentence. But if their numbers are only 5 points different, meaning they've collapsed in their support for a black female presidential candidate, they're at 63 in this study. You just say black people in that line, or you say both numbers. You don't say black men as if black women aren't at 63. It's a total failure. You get my point?
Yes, sir.
In addition, you got white women at 43. But we're not going to do no story on them. We're going to paint black male numbers as if they aren't a representation of black people. Kamala Harris is at 58 for black males and at 63 for black women. We're not going to deal with the fact that that means black people are at an average of 60. And that is a total failure by Kamala Harris as a politician. Give me your last take on
it. It is. It's absolutely true. And I think that our ability to be able to use this kind of data from the studying and everything else to be able to explain this in a very specific way, but also having the boundaries too, because like it is insane to think that there are people out there that will say to someone like Mr. Ray Peoples that, oh, well, if you don't want to support Kamala because you're a misogynist. Like, what kind of sense does that make? We're being harmed by someone. We have real concerns for our community, and everyone else gets a say on that except for us. So I can proudly say that this year, I actually got my wife to vote for the first time we're younger, and myself, my son, we put a vote in for Dr. Cornell, because we need to make our voices heard. Even if he doesn't necessarily win, we there to let them know, like, hey, he's not going to keep playing with us.
Well, the numbers show up in the studies. You see it right here. They got me at 1-1. Joe Stein and Cornell. I'm going to let you go. I got a couple callers in the queue. Thank you for calling. Again, I need everybody to understand what I'm saying. He wrote an article that should never have been written. The data doesn't support it because the data shows black people are voting on the same line. So what is you talking about? If anything, it actually should be written about black women because it shows a massively more shift. In addition, if black men voted for Clinton at 82 and white women were at 43, you can't even discuss them having a problem having a female president. They already voted for a female to be president. At rates, only black men black women outpaced them. Only. But again, in a recent poll, we're not going to say that it's not ABC, CNN, or Washington Post. We're not going to tell people that. We're not going to tell people that it's weighted. It means that the numbers are weighted somehow by the survey givers. But we're going to say 58% of black men say they vote for President Kamala Harris if the election were held today, and 26% said they vote for Trump. That's above the fold. But we're not going to deal with this 63% of black females, and meaning that 60% of black folks are that's all that Kamala's getting. You had Obama's statement around black men not supporting a candidate because of gender fall apart at Hillary Clinton 2016. Exit polls had black male support for Hillary Clinton at 80%, 84, at really 83, 84. despite his super predator comments. Polls are showing that only 73% of black males support Kamala Harris, and black women are at an abysmal 79%. Harris is running 7% behind Clinton in support by black males and 14 points behind by black females. And nobody wants to talk about black females and how they've fallen off the planet for Harris. And nobody, and this is the Pew study right here, 73, 79. And then nobody wants to talk about how black men were double the rate of white women. Take this last caller. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from? Obama.
Hi, this is Kay. I'm calling from Florida. Can you hear me?
Nice to have a woman. Obama out here lying by omission.
Well, it's a smoke screen. I think the reason that they have to throw out that smoke screen is because they don't want to admit that the reason that we're in the situation we're in is because they disenfranchise millions of voters by not allowing us to have a primary. They stole that primary because ever since Bernie has been running, their problem is that they want to be able to choose their candidates. Can I add to that for you?
Can I add to that for you? Not to cut you off. I'm going to add to that. Make sure we get a political education. A lot of people need to look back at Carter and what happened with Carter. When Carter came into office, what happened in 76, that would be, I believe. He really cleaned the swamp. And basically, lifelong politicians made sure to say that would never happen again. Go back and look at what happened with Carter when he really cleaned the swamp and cleaned out all the lifelong politicians and how lifelong politicians reacted. What we see now is these people are largely captured. To go to your point, I've shown this a number of times, but people don't remember nobody was supporting Kamala. Nobody was supporting Kamala back 3 months ago. And look at this chart. This is the New York Times based on their experts. She was the least likely to beat Trump, would beat Trump. Everybody is ahead of her. So why would we pick her? It's Kamala Harris as a politician.
2020.
Agreed. 2019, really. But
right? She couldn't even get a vote. She got 0 votes. And when they went to Iowa, she had already dropped out because she was told in last, even in California, she was told she was not going to carry her own state. So it was very obvious that she's not a popular candidate. We don't like her. Before they switched her out for Biden or switched Biden out for her, she was polling as like the lowest VP.
Yeah, and she announced first with the most energy. She announced first with the most, and she lacks in many areas. She lacks in. I know it's a delay. She lacks in so many areas. But what's happening now is black men are being stolen from. They're being stolen in their right to vote, and their right to choose, and their right to have efficacy. It's all being stolen. And then a lie is being told about misogyny that none of the data, none of the exit polls, and that Clinton's own voting, the exit polls from Clinton actually show should never be a story. There should be no stories about black men and misogyny if they voted for Clinton, who was the first female to run for president at an 82, 84% rate.
Exactly, but they were kind of dropping off of the black vote since Obama. I believe their numbers were dropping in the Democratic Party. The problem that I think is, besides the fact that of course Kamala is a horrible and she's incompetent, it's an indictment on the party that Trump was able to come in and to do some form of prison reform with the First Step Act, and then they give us a prosecutor, and they want people to vote for her, black men to vote for her, when they already know that she fought to lock them up or to keep them in prison to fight fire.
And that's part of
there's a lot of reasons why she's not a good candidate.
Agreed, and that happened with Clinton as well, because some of that 82-93 gap between black men and black women was also attributable to her saying super predator and her husband's and her husband's long history of Stone Mountain and locking up black men, unlike just continuing the Reagan legacy. And I just think that when we look at this thing, we got to stop using the bad misogynist argument as a crutch to avoid the truth.
Right.
Look at black female numbers for Kamala Harris versus Clinton. They're down 10 points.
It's a smoke screen. But they're going to keep using it because, like I said, they don't want to admit that they're taking our votes away from us in the primary, and they want to control who runs. And they give us these horrible candidates. And then when we're looking at them like, well, I don't want to vote for them because I understand policy and I understand their records, and we're being vocal about it, that's why they have to and speak down to us. And black men are expendable in the Democrat Party because they do uplift black women, and they do, you know, claim that, oh, black women are the backbone to the Democrat Party. But they're not admitting that black men vote right behind black women. There's only like a couple of percentages off, if that. So there's no reason, besides the fact that you think they're expendable and you can say whatever, because you don't think that they don't have a voice in that party, is the way that I see it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for calling. Oh, actually, can I ask you one last question?
Sure.
I got something on screen. So you now have this group of black women, educated women who have a family history and also even a personal history possibly of being Republican, judging black men for voting Trump or whatever. So you got Jamil Hill saying, why Jamil believes you're racist if you vote for Trump. That's a bridge too far. But understand it, at the same time, she had a tweet everybody found from 2017, because this article is 2000. Yes, my mother voted for Trump. She's been voting Republican since post Bill Clinton. So that means your mama is a racist? I don't know if I want to. If you believe your mama a racist, I don't know if you should be the voice in black politics. Then you got, in addition,
you know what, she always shames black men. Jamel Hill, I heard her say, didn't she say that black men were the white men of black people?
How about we get the article where she says my mama's a racist? Because that's the logical, when they make inferences. When you become a lawyer, there's inference games you have to do to pass the LSAT to get into law school. If you're saying that you believe you're racist if you vote for Trump, that's her statement according to the Daily Beast. Then you tell us your mama voted for Trump. You believe your mama's a racist. And so like,
exactly.
So I'm gonna let you go. Thank you so much.
So, you know what I think is an issue. I think that they need to start focusing on policy, stop focusing on vote shaming people. Give people something to vote for and stop deflecting from the fact that you're not offering us anything for any tangible for us to vote for.
There are people.
All a deflection.
Thank you. There's people like Jamil Hill that attack black males in their voting pattern that have all kind of quirky excuses for registering Republican in Florida. So she was registered Republican in Florida, according to the Tampa Bay Times. When she registered to vote in Florida, Jamil Hill chose to affiliate with the Republican Party. And then she's going to shame black men that have been voting Democrat their whole life. I don't think the mama's white, somebody asked. Nope, I don't think so. I think it's just politically being off. But to Trump, all of y'all supporting Trump and don't even understand, according to the budget policy priorities, I shared this before, Trump budget cuts deeply cut health, housing, other assistance for low and moderate income families. Y'all supporting somebody whose politics are opposed to your own, oppositional to your own. You can go read this for yourself. Less than 2 months after signing massive tax cuts that largely benefit those at the top of the economic ladder, President Trump has put forward a 2019 budget that cuts basic assistance that millions of families struggling to get by need to help pay their rent, put food on the table, and get health care. But yet we got this. You tell me this man don't need some assistance, some kind of program. I'm not talking just WIC. I'm talking about health care. I'm talking about any kind of program. Come on, man. School, community college. They out here holding these signs, don't know what these signs mean. It means your life will be in the treasure, in the dirt. Please put me in the dirt. Now, I get it if you want to deal with transgender rights. I get it if you're frustrated with Kamala, but this ain't the answer. And everybody has their own belief. Out here in Atlanta, my cousin sent this to me, holding up this sign. Make it make sense. But that, you can't go as CNN, Anderson Cooper be driving past him, jump out the car, do a whole interview on him, and talk about this is how black men are voting. This man is an aberration of an aberration, oddly doing something weird, standing outside, all black on, with this sign. That is not a representation. But you're going to ignore all these white women that largely voting in majority to Trump. Because that's a bad story. They don't click the same way. Last caller tonight. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, what's going on, Tony? This is John of Florida. Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was going to just make one point. I was going to call in, but I agree with you.
Let me say one thing. 609. Don't hang up. I'm gonna take you too. Go ahead, since he's gonna be brief.
Yeah. Even with the LeBron James thing with the tweet, kind of making a counter. I mean, making I guess an analogy between Adolf civil rights and what happened with the migrants. I guess we did today or earlier. I mean, Adolf people literally have no political voice outside of the foundation. So that's a problem in and of itself. But I wasn't going to call in, but I really do get upset when people say, how do we end up with Kamala? We didn't have a primary. These same people were quiet when black women asked for a VP, or black people in large asked for a black VP. The DNC is political malfeasance for them to oust a black woman VP. They would lose the black base altogether. So you can't, people can't ask why we end up with her unless you're white or outside.
I go back to that because I told Yvette that she traded the South Carolina vote because she was going. What happened was Biden was running behind. Actually, it wasn't just her. And then basically by her dropping out, the South Carolina vote coalesced around Biden, and from there he ran to the presidency. So in my belief, I said this beforehand, and I said it actually in a video. She traded our Adolph's vote for her position. She's been doing it her whole life, but like in particular with the vice presidency, she had no electoral college. California is already a state that's going to go blue. She had nothing to trade other than South Carolina and the fact that she could help Biden get ahead of Bernie. And so I don't know. I mean, I landed that plane, but I don't know where people are struggling. Hey, caller, let me let you go and take the last caller in the night.
Hey, Tone, it's Tiana calling in from San Diego. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm just trying to understand if black men vote for Clinton at 82%, how they misogynist. If white women are voting for him at 42, and Latino women are at 69. How those groups are.
I believe it's just the same old strategy to blame black men as a scapegoat so they don't have to actually face the reality and point the finger at white women. Because if that's the case, why isn't Obama considered a sexist for not codifying Roe v. Wade like he promised to do during his term? Or why isn't Obama blamed for being the reason that we have Trump right now?
Or Obama not blamed for not getting that last Supreme Court justice in, and why we got the court we got now.
That's true too. Exactly. They like to just point the finger at the Adolf black man while uplifting everybody else that's cosplaying the show. That's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. And I also feel like people voting for Trump, especially Adolf, people voting for Trump, I feel like it's a reactionary thing just because they're not politically educated. They're the people, unfortunately, that either know about Adolf and don't understand it or are not aware of Adolf. And they're just saying, oh, I'm so mad at the Democrats, I'm going to jump from the frying pan into the fire. That's not going to get the results we need.
I agree. Well, look, I'm going to get out of here because I didn't plan on going that long. I appreciate you calling. You added the last sauce.
I appreciate you, Tone. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you. So I just wanted to come to you and point this out because I don't understand. Now, I wanted to give you the toolbox to go back and ask the Atlantic why this article even came out. If we know when we look at the actual study itself that it should have been cited which study it was, it shouldn't just been said a recent poll. Come on, man. And say the Gen Forward poll. But in addition, if it shows black women at 63 and black men at 58, that means black people are voting for Kamala at obscenely low rates. And the question in the article should have been, is Kamala the worst black politician in the history of black politics? That's a whole different article. Is Kamala getting the lowest support from black folks of any black politician to ever run nationally? That's another story, but that's what the data supports. Those stories. It don't support, are they drifting right? It supports you asking why white women are misogynists. I want to talk to you. Support the channel. Tone Talks. I'm out. ToneTalks.net. Thanks.